I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and part 2 of the HTC One X Motorola DROID RAZR MAXX Dogfight battle is about to start. But first, special thanks to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your camera settings, all that stuff. So when you walk out that door, you're good to go at Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look and see which one is the ultimate smartphone. It's part 2, and it starts right now. Let's start up part 2 of this video the good old-fashioned way, and that's by doing speed tests on both of these devices. Let's load up Quadrant Standard and take a look and see which one comes out on top. Dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU over here, dual-core TI OMAP processor, 1.2 gigahertz, 1.5 over on the One X. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out, and I think you'll be impressed if you haven't looked at any speed test numbers of how fast the One X actually is, despite having a Snapdragon processor. You know, Snapdragon kind of got a bad rap with the S3 because it was laggy from time to time. You look at like the Resound or the Galaxy Note or some of these older devices that pack S3, and it's not the best in the world. You see some lag and things like that. Huge difference between the S3 and the S4, so I'm excited to take a look at that. Call quality overall, great on both of these devices. Motorola does a killer job in the wireless reception department. The wireless radio in this device is fantastic. If calling is your thing, the DROID RAZR MAXX is an exceptional voice device. Combined with the fact that it has a big 3,300 milliamp hour battery, and you're good to go with calling, texting, doing whatever. In fact, they touted, I think it was GPS for 8 hours without stopping. Watching a movie, I think, for 3 or 4 hours non-stop without the display turning off. A ton of stuff you can do on this device and make it throughout the day with that 3,300 milliamp hour battery. Over here, obviously, it's running way ahead of this one. So let's see what we got here. 4,918 over here. We'll wait for this one to finish loading, but overall, call quality's been great. Battery life's been surprisingly decent on the One X, though obviously the DROID RAZR MAXX takes it by a landslide in the battery life department. You've got a 1,800 milliamp hour non-removable battery over here, 3,300 milliamp hour non-removable battery over here. And you know, obviously non-removable means you have to plug in, you can't get a spare battery. The downside to that is, you know, if you're traveling, you're looking for trying to find some juice in between meetings. Fortunately, both of these charge relatively quickly, but I think in the battery life department, the DROID RAZR MAXX, or I should say I know in the battery life department, this one is a little bit better. I've been surprised with the standby time, though, on the HTC One X. You know, with leaving it uncharged overnight or doing something overnight, the standby time is surprisingly decent on this device. We'll wait for this one to load up. Let's see what we've got here. It's running through the test right now, and you can see that it's doing its thing. And power button, while we were talking, power button on the side over here, volume rocker over on the right side. We didn't quite go over all of that in part 1. So power button's over here on the side, kind of like a Samsung thing going on over there. So it's loading up 4,918 on the HTC One X, and then over here on the DROID RAZR MAXX, it's coming to a close. Let's see. Come on now. Let's see what we've got here. It's taking its sweet time. Loading through here. We'll see which score we come up with. Come on now. Let's roll through. Let's find out what the benchmark result is, and it is 2,300, 2,300, 4,918, worlds of difference there. Now, where the DROID RAZR MAXX may come ahead slightly is in the speed test. Let's take a look here and see what we can do with the speed test. I always miss this. Ah, there it is. Okay, perfect. We're going to set these on the same server, make sure we're good to go here. Hello. Shelby. Let's do Shelby over here just in case. Shelby. And we'll load up both. We'll begin the test. And we'll see which one comes out on top. So obviously, you know, a bigger display over here on the One X, and the ability, obviously, so you know, when you look at like web browsing, you look at doing stuff like that, having that extra screen real estate, as small as it may be, 4.3 versus 4.7, it's nice to have the additional screen real estate. Also, this is an HD display. There's a noticeable difference in picture quality over on the One X as opposed to the Motorola DROID RAZR MAXX, so that's something to keep in mind. Download speeds 10.91 megabit per second over here. Upload speeds about 4.6 or 4.06 megabits per second. AT&T's LTE not as hot, 3.01 megabits per second. Upload 3.99, and that kind of falls in line with what I've seen. I don't know how many. Let me see if I have any results over here. You can see, you know, you're getting double-digit 15, 20, 15, 13 megabits per second on the download over here. The fastest I've seen on the AT&T side is 8 to 9 megabits per second, so 8.05, 8.72. Otherwise, you know, kind of between the 4 and 7 megabits per second range on the download. Let's take a look at camera on both of these devices. 8 megapixels on both, 1080p HD video recording capabilities on both as well. and we'll load up the camera. Camera department, I'm going to spoil it, goes to the HTC One X by a landslide because of some of the different features that it offers. So I've been working with the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. Let's take a look at it. So obviously you can see it focuses in automatically. I love this feature. Take a look at this. Burst mode. It's really great when you're at a sports game or doing something, watching your child play soccer. I can go through and pick the best picture that I just took, and that's a really nice touch. I can show you this, for example. Scroll back and forth. Easily access whichever picture is the best. That's something that I really like. You can do that while shooting video as well, and the quality on these pictures absolutely fantastic. They've really worked hard on the image sensor and the one line of devices, and it's really impressive. Over here on the Motorola DROID RAZR MAXX as well, you can see typical Motorola interface here. You have the ability to switch between picture and video. You get your front-facing camera, and then you have your stuff down here as well. No physical camera button on either of these devices, but overall, a relatively decent image, as you can see right there. So camera department, One X wins by a landslide, but if camera is not something that's incredibly important to you, maybe calls are more important to you, or battery life, longevity, this is going to be a decent device for it. The camera is not bad by any means, but in comparison to what this one offers, I think you'll be a little bit happier in the camera department on the HTC One X. So, you got a couple of different options here between your smartphones. I want to show you a couple more applications. For example, let's take a look here at Google, or at Gmail rather. You can see Ice Cream Sandwich, the stock Gmail application on Ice Cream Sandwich, and you can see Gmail on Gingerbread. Just to take a look at some of the things that have changed, the differences. Obviously, you have a menu button down here and the ability to kind of press it and see some of the stuff that you see over here. News, search, labels, refresh. Most of that stuff's going to be somewhere in here in the menu button. Since you don't have a dedicated menu button here, you got it kind of set up on a particular bar. Now, what I don't like about HTC, well, this is more Ice Cream Sandwich, but also kind of HTC Sense 4. Take a look, for example, at how the menu button moves depending on where you're at. So, menu button at the bottom in Gmail. Menu button at the top in your applications. When you go into Facebook, menu button right there. So that's something to keep in mind. It moves around and kind of changes depending on where you're at. It's very inconsistent. That may not bother you in the slightest, or it may bother you a ton, but that's something to keep in mind. Little inconsistencies like that can make or break the experience, and if you're somebody like me, that may bother you, it may not. But take a look at the dialer applications between the two. You've obviously got some tabs up here at the top on the DROID RAZR MAXX. You've got recent, contacts, and favorites. Down here, little carousel action as you scroll back and forth. Contacts, groups, and call history. So we're going to go to contacts and take a look at Verizon Wireless accessories, for example. We'll take a look at John Rogers here as well, and you can see what they look like. You can see some Ice Cream Sandwich influence over here with the big picture at the top, and then you get these nice little options down here at the bottom. Thread updates and then gallery. So I can go into Thread and see when John and I talked last, when we sent our last email, when we sent our last message, our call history as well. Over here you don't really get that. You get some contact history, but it's not as organized as HTC Sense, which is something I really like. They've really mastered this personal information management system within their contacts, and that's something that's really nice on both of these devices. So all in all, both of these are great Android devices. This one's been out a little bit longer, so obviously we have kind of the natural urge to say, oh, One X, because it's the newer phone. Not the case, though. Both of these are great devices that offer very different things depending on what you want. That said, the winner of the dogfight is the HTC One X. It packs a better spec list, a better processor, a better display that's also larger, a better camera, but where the DROID RAZR MAXX excels, that battery, 3,300 milliamp hour, 3,300 milliamp hour. It's so big that I have to say hour twice. 3,300 milliamp hour battery means it's going to be great for phone calls, great for doing anything that you really throw at it, and you're going to be able to make it through the day. But the One X, in terms of specs, in terms of look and feel, it takes home the gold medal in the dogfight. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with the One X and the DROID RAZR MAXX. Keep it locked in the site for continuing coverage. If you just absolutely love your One X or your DROID RAZR MAXX, cast your vote for it in PhoneDog's official smartphone rankings at PhoneDog.com/rankings. Be sure to follow us on Facebook as well, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Hit me up on Twitter, PhoneDog_Aaron. Let me know which one you absolutely love out of these two devices. Thanks so much for watching. More coverage to come on both of these hot devices as we go into the summer of Android smartphones on PhoneDog.com. We'll see you next time.